episode of the Stoved Up Podcast. A little bit of a twist, a little bit of an M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong. We are going to take it a left turn and change the format a little bit. We have a special guest tonight. You might know Mark from friggin' Welcome to Maine.
Oh, yeah.
His name is Ian Stuart. He has a father, and his father is to my right. That is Mr. John Stuart, who is a music producer professionally, has worked with many famous bands, is part of the Bubblegum Band. If you are from Maine, you know Rick Charette,
Yep.
you know Bubblegum, you know Alligator in the Elevator, you know that there's Mud, I Love Mud.
Yep.
And this is a guy who probably was playing at your school with Rick Charette, produced a lot of the songs, co-wrote, co-sang, and does all the instruments, actually. We're really pumped to have him, but he's worked with a lot of other bands. We're going to tell some stories today, and we have another Made in Maine, Is It Good?
Yep.
Today's segment will be Blueberry Pie.
Absolutely.
We'll dig deep.
And before we get into that, we are going to get into our sponsors very quickly. As always, our very good friends over at Golden Watt Cognac have sponsored this podcast. Absolutely amazing cognac. If you like drinking, I would highly recommend checking out the cognac that's produced right here in Maine. You can get them at goldenwatt.com, Golden Watt Cognac, at all of the social medias, and they're available everywhere. Any Hannaford, Shaw's, Mini Mart, you've got it. They're there. Also, our second advertiser tonight is the Tyler Healy Band, who is currently on tour throughout the state of Maine, and they have a song, your favorite song, now streaming absolutely everywhere, that they want you to check out. It's a great song. Is it your favorite song yet?
It actually is pretty good.
Pretty good.
I'm not going to give him that, but it's an awesome song. Check it out anywhere that you stream stuff. Where can they go to see his schedule for that tour?
The TylerHealyBand.com, you can check out the schedule, and also you can pick up a t-shirt, which is a great way of supporting a local band. And then finally, our third sponsor of the evening is Lit Local Farms out in Bangor, Maine. Delivery service for you marijuana medical connoisseurs. They have a huge selection, unbelievable prices. You can be found at Lit Local or Lit Local Farms, and they're on the maps, they're on the Leafly, they're on the everything. So if you're in the Bangor area, you haven't checked them out, you're doing yourself a disservice. Get fucking high.
We had a few listeners actually say that that's their favorite local place in
Yeah,
Bangor.
very
So
good.
was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
and that's the thing too. It's like we're positioned by a lot of weed stores, and because of that, we want to make sure they're working with the best people that we can, and those guys are absolutely bringing the fire. So
Yeah, it's awesome.
again, we're thankful that they're sponsoring the Stoved Up
We're living in the
podcast.
future.
Yeah.
That's the sponsor. That's awesome. And it's not sponsored by Sebago, but it could be. Wink, wink.
Made in Maine. Is it good? Blueberry pie. I brought it up today because, if I'm not mistaken, that is your favorite dessert. Is that correct?
Well, I'm going to say between blueberry pie and strawberry rhubarb pie.
Wow, that is that's
are-
so fucking Maine right there.
That
Good
is,
God.
that is both of
That
them.
that comes into
Strawberry
Canada, doesn't it?
rhubarb
Good
a
God.
little earlier, and then blueberry, and
Wait,
aside from the
just
incredible
like-
mess.
You mean strawberry rhubarb earlier as like
In the
if
day?
you are
Not in the day. Earlier in the season.
That's a 9
Oh,
o'clock
earlier in the
pie.
season. I thought you meant
Yeah.
maybe in the night. We're like, strawberry rhubarb to start the night off,
Yeah,
and then we're gonna move into a blueberry pie when
That-
we finish off the
that would be
rhubarb.
fine. Pie is. I'm a pie person. Cake. I'm sort of indifferent to, but pies.
Pies, a
That's
blueberry
great.
pie. The rhubarb pie though, like, isn't part of rhubarb poisonous?
The leaves.
Yeah.
Very poisonous.
That's
Yeah.
I just
Eat
feel like
them and
that's
die.
and that's it. I feel like the rhubarb pie is like the Maine equivalent of like that fucking like crazy fish over in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
That you eat a sliver
Oh,
and
yeah.
fucking die.
Yeah. Well, that's when they prepare it
blowfish.
wrong.
Well,
or they
dude,
do
I mean, how many
something.
people you think are just chopping down rhubarb in the backyard?
Putting leaves in there, and all of a sudden you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't trust that shit.
Oh my God, that would have been a great episode of CSI Portland.
Yeah, well,
He's got
Yeah.
fucking rhubarb.
Maddie, it's rhubarb. Maddie, bring the cow over.
Again, it's the rhubarb killer.
We're gonna take a photo. You got a dot. Let's go. Man.
I guess let's just get into it. So you're obviously pro blueberry pie.
I am.
With or without ice cream?
Vanilla ice cream.
Well, a specific brand?
No, really good vanilla ice cream.
Like
French
vanilla
vanilla
bean?
or vanilla bean or
You put the beans
any
on the front of
any
the
of them
thing.
can be
something
good, but what you have to do with your ice cream, of course, is let it soften just a little bit. You don't
Yeah.
want it hard like a rock.
Yeah.
And just a little soft, it's got to be good quality. The high fat thing. It's not like a Bud Light.
Yeah. What are you putting? Why are you gonna fucking shit on Bud Light on this
I'm
podcast?
not. It's not Bud Light. Bud
What
Light
did
would
Bud Light do to you?
Am I mowing the lawn? If I was mowing the lawn, Bud Light. But,
Yeah.
you know,
If you wanted cardboard water, yeah, Bud Light, for sure. But no, I mean, I'm the same way. If I'm going to use milk in anything, I don't drink a lot of milk, for
Me
example.
either.
I'm going to use whole milk. I'm doing it for the fat. Like, skim milk is a joke.
That's
Skim
disgusting.
milk
Yeah,
is
yeah,
white
disgusting.
water that you lie to
Yeah,
yourself
no.
with,
and,
with your cereal.
and God help you put some of those nut things in there. Or,
Yeah.
You know,
Although-
almonds.
No, skim milk is served at torture camps.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
skim
When you
milk
have
is,
breakfast at a fucking torture camp, it's not whole milk.
it's like a mirage in the desert where you think that there's an oasis over there,
Yeah.
but you get there and it's just a reflection of the sun.
Yeah.
Skim milk is like Gatorade milk.
Yuck.
It's like kind of like milk. It's in the middle.
Skim milk, buying skim milk at the grocery store is like lying to your family.
Yeah.
It's like, I got milk. Not really, guys. It's water. It's
right.
white water.
It
Enjoy.
wouldn't even stick to your lip.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. It would just.
Well, it's like when you go to your nana's house and it's sugar-free candy, and like
Yeah.
so it looks like candy. You
Oh.
think it's candy,
A little bait and
then you're like,
switch.
"What the fuck is this?" All right, but all right. So, blueberry pie, vanilla deal.
I'm not a blueberry pie person. I just think I don't like fruit pies actually at all.
I'm actually with you.
Really?
Yeah, not a fruit pie. But with that said, pie crust
Oh yeah.
and ice cream,
Yes.
and you mix the pie crust
Yeah.
and ice cream, and like a hint of blueberry in there. So like,
Yeah.
I want like the edge of a blueberry pie, like the first inch into a blueberry pie with a thick crust and like a slight amount of fruit. Throw that in way more ice cream,
Mm-hmm.
mash it around, and then eat it like I am serving a jail sentence.
Yeah, I'm a bigger fan of the ice cream than I am the pie ultimately.
Yeah.
And that's just me. I don't think there's anything wrong with blueberry pie. I think, especially if you're getting Maine blueberries, something local, something
Yeah,
fresh.
you don't want those Jersey Brip here.
Yeah,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. You know, if you got a big handful of them, they're okay. But the real ones are the wild ones.
Yeah. Now, did you ever have to pick blueberries as a kid?
Yes.
Oh, really?
I even had to rake them.
Rake them.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, rake them to make money in the late summer.
Really?
Oh, man.
And
Yeah.
how much money did you? How much work was involved in making? And how
A
much
lot.
money?
Were you,
Well,
now,
it
were
was
you
slave
paid by the
labor.
court?
Slave
Were you
labor.
paid by,
You were paid by the pound.
okay, by the pound.
Oh, it's like trimming weed now.
Yeah,
I guess so.
yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like that, and it's probably just about it. It was really tough. It was hard work because you're in a field, and it was not like a groomed field. It's like
Yeah.
rocks and stuff, and you're like tipping all over everything, and you finally get the, a case, a basket thing full of them, and you take them up and you dump them in, and
Yeah.
you essentially made like $2.
Yeah, yeah.
And you just sweated for 3 hours.
Now, how old were you when you were? How old were you when you were doing this?
When I was doing that, I was probably 15.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because it was one of those things that a lot of kids did it younger than that. Before that, though, I just picked them by hand and, we had them in the field and would use them at our house.
Yeah, yeah.
But, by the time I got to be 15, I wanted to make some money to, support my potentially bad habits.
Fair enough. All right. All right.
And that's blueberry pie in a nutshell. That's how we feel.
There's no nuts in blueberry pie.
No, obviously. That's,
Well,
Yeah. So blueberry pie. Let us know what you think about blueberry pie. Actually, if we go live tonight, we'll probably ask everyone about blueberry
yeah,
pie.
we're going to need to know how you feel specifically.
I have a feeling people are going to be upset.
I really think if I were the Pope, they would be doing time on the rack at this
Yeah,
very
I think
moment.
that's
Yeah, fair enough.
I think I was pretty blasphemous with my
I think so,
dislike
too.
of it.
Now,
But,
blueberry pie, yes. Blueberry beer.
Yeah, God.
None of them. Not a
None
single
of them.
blue-
Not a one.
Wow, that
It's
was
like,
very energetic.
yuck. It's this, it's like, I want beer to taste like beer.
But what does that mean?
Well, it can have different hops.
Okay.
It can be malty or it can be hoppy or,
Like when you think of drinking an ice cold beer, what is the specific beer that comes to mind?
an ice cold beer. Well, it depends
Like
on what I'm doing.
Really? But there's not a single like this is my favorite.
No, not really. Sometimes, like in the summer, if I'm mowing the lawn, I want something light and crisp, not a lot of beer energy. It could be,
Energy?
Well, like it could be a, some foreign beer with German beer. for
Yeah, yeah.
instance.
Okay.
Just real light and straight ahead. And sometimes I want something that has more gumption than that. And if I'm doing something that requires more gumption.
Okay.
which made no sense. But
Yeah,
that's
no,
okay.
I'm with you.
But I don't like flavorings I don't like ice cream with chunks of shit in it.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Oh God.
That's I would argue that my favorite ice cream has chunks of shit. In it.
Yeah, I'm going
Really,
for the
you like
chunks of
shit
shit.
chunk ice
I like,
cream?
yeah.
Do you like the
Doo-doo
dog
Trail
shit?
ice cream over at fucking Briar's? Isn't that what fucking
Moose Dookie.
yeah,
Moose Dukes.
Moose Dukes?
Yeah. Moose Dukes ice
Moose
cream.
Dukes ice cream.
No,
It's like the Moose Tracks, but
Yeah.
it's way worse.
Isn't that what the line at Beals is all about? It's the Moose Dukes.
I don't know, man. I cannot go to the. I don't want it interferes with my enjoyment of the smooth creaminess of ice cream.
Yeah.
All right.
I will. I have occasionally liked a chunk of chocolate.
What do you mean a chunk of
A
chocolate?
little, sometimes they have ice cream like a vanilla ice cream and it has a little chunk of chocolate in it.
Like a
Just
chocolate
one
chip
chunk?
ice cream, or
Like
just
a chocolate,
one?
yeah, but not as like packed with it. I just want the occasional little surprise of
Yeah.
All right.
of a chocolate thing.
Okay, you want like the landmine of chocolate?
Yeah.
Have you ever had vegan soft serve ice cream?
Hell no.
It's trap. It's like the sugar-free candy. For the first few bites, you're like, oh shit, this is ice cream. This is just like ice cream. And then it starts to melt, and the whiteness that made it look like ice cream disappears, and it separates, and it turns clear. And all of a sudden, it's not even like ice anymore. It's like this clear.
Ugh.
It looks like somebody spit in your ice cream. It's like the worst looking thing in the world. And it takes about 3.5 minutes, like in the sun after you get your vegan ice cream. And I'll be honest with you, the vegan chicken nuggets were awesome. Like I was at the end of it almost convinced. I was like, why kill chickens? We got this now. Like whatever, plant meat. But then I had the ice cream, and they have not got it all figured out. Vegans, if you can round the corner and get ice cream figured out, we'll talk. But until then,
Well,
Not
that's a
interested.
trick.
It's
That's a
like
mean
when
trick.
somebody fools you. I remember somebody coming to me with carob chip cookies, and they said, these taste just like chocolate chips. Now, I actually like carob chips. They're quite...
I don't.
What is a carob
Yeah,
chip?
where do you buy? Where do you buy
Well,
carob
carob chips, they're like carob is another. It's like a chocolate plant in a way. It's kind of a fruity thing, and they usually put like M&M stuff over it. Like a little coating.
Okay, like a shell.
Right, and so they're kind of good. They taste kind of fruity. They're not. It's not like chocolate, but they're fruity, almost like a raisin, but not quite.
Weird.
But they're not chocolate. And I remember someone hand me a cookie and going, "This is a carob chip cookie." And it's whole wheat. Worst idea ever for a cookie. Bad. No. And then it's got carob chips, and it's just like chocolate chip. No, it's not.
Can I just say a whole wheat cookie is like Amish porn? Where it's just like I understand.
Jebediah.
Yeah.
Jebediah.
This is not what I signed up for.
Yeah,
you know?
Burn that
Are you gonna
butter.
take the hat off? You're not?
You can keep your hat on. But no, bad idea. And I took a bite and I just went, no, this is disgusting. And if they had said this is a carob chip cookie and had left it out of the whole wheat, because really, why are you eating a cookie in whole wheat? I was pretty strict vegetarian for years, and I like whole wheat, bread and all that stuff. I like big, thick textures, but a cookie, it's a cookie. It's not really nutritional.
Yeah, you need to fuck it up.
And I was like, no, don't try to sell me something that ain't. So I haven't had a vegan ice cream.
No, it's a trick. Yeah, don't do it. Don't even like.
How do they even make
Oh, but no,
that
we know. Where
I
do you?
don't
So
know.
where do you buy carob chips?
Oh, you health foods. You could probably buy them in Hannaford nowadays.
Interesting.
Yeah, I bet you could. Where they have that stuff packaged up in a little,
Yeah.
the kind of it looks like, nuts and stuff like that.
Interesting.
I don't know if they put them in like little plasticine things like carob, chocolate chips.
I am curious. I feel like we've got a few stories tonight to
Yeah,
get to, and
we do.
I don't know where to start. Really.
I know.
I know that we need to get into the history. I had a really funny image of like the Bubblegum Band getting all hyped up with the primary school staff, like about where the lights were going to be on the stage.
Oh no! Yeah, well,
And that was
that
like,
kinda-
like a road story about.
The alligator only exits stage right. So
that he is
if you
in
don't-
the elevator.
If you don't build us a staircase right now,
Yeah.
on stage right, Rick is not going on.
You think he's making eyes at me?
Yeah.
You just wait. Just wait.
Yeah, it's no, the Bubblegum Band. I've definitely seen that stuff. Those kind of egos.
The Bubblegum Band?
No.
No. Oh, that would be so much funnier.
Yeah. It would. No, we. The Bubblegum Band. It was a bunch of really. I'll tell you. And it's been a few different little incarnations. Like there've been players that came in and went out or left for some reason or another.
Do you mind if we start from like the formation? Like, because I don't know how
Rick
got involved.
Okay, well,
how anything started.
I wasn't actually there at the very beginning.
Okay.
I came in a little later. It started with Rick had written some of these songs. He meets Roy Clark, who's a keyboardist.
And how old are these guys when they're doing this?
Oh, I think they were probably in their late 20s.
Really?
Yeah, late 20s. That's what.
So late 20s, and they're like children's music.
Yeah, Rick's doing, because he was playing folk music, but he had this. The guy has this gift for kids music that you very rarely see, because it's kids music without pandering. And so the adults don't go, dear God, make this stop.
Yeah.
Because some of that stuff you listen to and you go, make this stuff stop.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
going to go postal.
Oh, like
yeah.
Peppa Pig.
No, anything from Coco Melon?
The Wiggles.
Holy shit. Yeah, I mean, the whole, yeah.
It's
terrible.
But with Rick's stuff, the adults could sit there and they go, wow, it's got a nice, groove going on.
Yeah.
There's some chord changes. The lyrics are kid lyrics, but they're not pandering lyrics. They're cute, and he also made a huge effort to me. It was all positive, and sometimes quite funny, and so
there's definitely a humor to it.
There is definitely
I mean that's what makes a good children's show as like a parent. Then I can be like, well, what happens next?
Yeah, right.
What happens next?
Yeah.
What happens next on the Jurassic Park show?
I would say that I would relate Rick Charette's music at the way kind of adults and kids both enjoy it, the same way like Sesame Street has more like adult jokes kind of like woven in, not like NSFW jokes, but like jokes that are like it's got a double meaning and you really only get it as an adult. So you're watching along kind of laughing on a different plane.
Right. It's like Bullwinkle and Rocky.
Yeah.
They always had these little things in the background that the adults are just chuckling because they're really funny little jokes.
Yeah.
And at the same time, there's some pratfalls and all that kind of stuff. I mean, Rick's stuff, and he paid incredible amounts of attention. He didn't let stuff go by in the songs. If it bugged him, he would keep working on it.
Yeah.
And we would work back and forth. Later on, as when I was working with him on these songs,
How did you come into the fray?
Well, what happened was, I had done some. They had done a couple, 3 albums. Really nice albums. First, of course, with Mud, and they were great albums. My friend Tom Blackwell was engineering them and helping producing, and then Roy was another producer. Roy's a great keyboard player and really produces well. And so they came up with these 3 or 4 albums, and all of a sudden, I got dragged in because I had, gotten some. Good, I had some lucky places that I showed up. I showed up at the right time, right place. So I had an album that had a Grammy nomination. Well, that gives you some kind of cachet.
Oh, right.
It didn't mean anything. It wasn't any better than I was the week before.
It's better than not having it on the resume.
But that's exactly.
It looks like it on the resume. It looks like, whoa.
Yeah.
So, but you can say I'm a Grammy nominated producer.
Right. And so
which opens up so many fucking doors.
People are going, well, shit. And then I'd also written a bunch of music for Sesame Street.
Right.
And so that, again,
it looked like.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, wrote a bunch of the songs on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Can you give me one song that?
No, they were instrumentals in the back. They were instrumentals in the back of the films that would do transitions, say, from the country post office to the city post office, or from winter to spring.
They animate over it, maybe?
Not animated film.
Wow.
He still gets paid on it.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I still do get occasional
royalties from Sesame Street.
Yeah. And the thing, one of my best moments actually was Sesame Street had a retrospective at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. And I happened to go down there to oversee the mastering of an album in the city, and it was showing at that point. So I went into the Metropolitan Museum of Art, walked in, and they had one of the pieces, somebody else had done the filming. I only did the music.
Sure.
And I walked in, and I looked at it, and I went, holy shit.
So they were playing your music?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
And so I'm in there, and I'm thinking, I'm in here like Jackson Pollock.
You're
yeah,
you know, or
you're in the archive, man.
Lichtenstein.
Like,
You know, it's like I'm like, what the?
That's
it
in
was like
stone. Yeah.
It was like,
Well,
whoa,
that's
it's cool.
And that's the thing is like you've been a professional musician. And I've told this to many people that what inspired me to become a professional artist myself is it's because I had the same way that like a cop's son becomes a cop or a teacher. Like it's like I saw someone making a living off of art, but you make a living off the art almost like the fucking Phantom of the Opera. You're doing all this shadow work, which is all, and people don't understand how important and how like really what the industry is. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's the scaffolding. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
and
it's a foundation, and there's a lot of pieces that you do as a producer, and I'm a musician, so a lot of times I'm producing stuff, and I'm adding things musically in there, suggesting things musically.
Yeah.
A lot of times, completely changing what's going on, and if they trust me, then they'll go with it, and I'm good at drag. If they have an idea, I'll pull it out of them. They'll do something. I'll go, that idea right there. Let's work on that. Let's make that better. That could go here. Or
But
this
the
could go
ability
there.
to apply an idea to a soundtrack is a unique skill.
Well, because it's what you can't do is see it.
Right.
It's all ephemeral. It's all in space, and fortunately that's what I have. The skill.
It's feeling,
that I have is
feeling it as opposed
feeling
to experiencing it. It's
yeah.
different.
And so I'm thinking of it, and it's that emotional. Like, does that work? Does that line really make that work, or does it need to change a little bit to make it work?
One of my favorite things I ever heard was words are meant for ideas and music is meant for feelings. And to suggest an idea with a feeling in a song or a
Right.
feeling in the background, kind of like just an undertone that can change the mood and the perspective.
It's like going to
yeah.
see a movie, right?
Yeah.
You'll get to the movie and there's the big emotional part. There'll be a raised 11th in there, and people will just go,
Yeah.
it's like our bodies react to these chords.
Oh, 100%.
It's like a
Yeah.
pop song with G, D, E minor, C, like as the progression.
Yeah.
Like that's like, oh yeah, I've heard this one, but like it's new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so anyways, so what happened was I'd had all that stuff going on, and so those guys gave me a call and said, would you mix some songs for us? I said, yeah, of course, because part of my job also is just is mixing, which is kind of taking all the raw tracks and trying to make them sound good and all that. And fortunately, I was in places where I saw other people who were really, really good at stuff and got to listen to what they were doing, ask them questions. I was always relentlessly curious, probably annoyingly so, and say, well, why? What are you doing with that one? Now, I like the way that sounds. What are you doing to that? And they would explain it to me because I was just interested in it. And so then I started, when I would mix, I kind of mixed, and I brought my own, what I was thinking and feeling to those mixes. And so I started doing that, and it worked really well. Those albums came out great, and then pretty soon it was like, and I'd been out on the road at that point. I was out on the road with Noel Stuckey, Peter Paul. He's Paul, Peter Paul. And
I'm telling you,
I don't know any of this.
Dude,
Like,
are
I
you
feel
for real?
Dude,
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't. I know that he's done a lot, but I have no
we
idea.
need to get to the Mike Judge story.
Can I?
geez,
before we get through too far, can I ask the first? Do you remember the first recording of a song for Rick Charette that you worked on? Like, which song would I know maybe that you kind of got in on there first, or which album I guess was the first one you helped with?
Geez, I got to tell you, I can't.
Because I know that, like, I'm thinking now, like, parts of my childhood were created by John, and like, and
Right.
that's weird.
Well, and then if you grew up watching Sesame Street, Ian is when I was doing that stuff. Ian and Charlotte were kids, so you're the same age.
Yeah.
You would have heard that stuff.
Oh,
on
it's
Sesame
so
Street,
crazy.
yeah. And so I don't remember the specific song or album because I worked on.
What year was this? When you first started with Rick Charette?
80s,
So in the 80s, so over 30 years.
early 80s.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, early 80s.
Yeah, like 84 or 5.
So before I was born?
No, it would have been after. So it would have been
So like
85, 86, I think.
Interesting.
I-
Like 35 years.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Man.
And then so then I was on the road with Noel all the time, and we were in jets every single day flying someplace.
Right, so he kind of breezed over this. So Noel Paul Stuckey is a folk musician he's Paul from Peter, Paul, and Mary, which is Leaving on a Jet Plane, Puff the Magic Dragon, like all that 1960s
the wedding song and all that stuff.
Huge. And then he went off on a solo career.
Right, and I ran into him because I had a studio, and I just happened to.
But what year?
I would have run into him probably 77 to 78.
So before Rick Charette, you were jet setting around with Noel Paul Stuckey.
I mean that was jet setting. This was like we were literally on planes every day.
Yeah.
Now, private jets or
sometimes private, but mostly commercials.
Okay. Would you sit first class or coach?
Sometimes first class, sometimes
It's just
coach.
kind of a mix.
Sometimes we're in some puddle jumper in Florida, hoping the friggin' thing isn't going to fall out of the sky.
Oh, this one has propellers. Great.
Do we have to wind up the friggin' propellers?
Hey, fun fact, we pieced this one together from the Leonard Skinner.
Sometimes it felt like that. We had somebody get out of a plane once because we had 19 road cases that we took with us on the road.
Yeah.
Road cases are heavy, big amble cases full of instruments or synths or whatever. And the guy looked at this shit coming onto this little plane. He goes, I'm not staying on this plane. It's too heavy. The pilot, they didn't care. They knew what was going on there. But this guy was like, no, I'm getting off.
Wow.
He said, I want off. And he got off. And he was torqued.
That's a little more weight you got now.
Yeah, so I'm good.
That's
Hey,
perfect.
that other case can go right on there.
That's a couple guitars. I mean, how many guitars does Paul from Peter, Paul, and Mary bring to one show? Just
Usually two. He used to just bring a steel string and a nylon string.
What brand?
Oh.
What was he going with?
Oh, he had Ramirez. His nylon strings are like,
Oh, crazy shit?
crazy shit. Totally handmade,
Like made by
And
the
so-
elves in Rivendell.
Yeah,
No,
it's
yeah.
like it
And
is,
I'm
yeah.
only,
Beautiful
I'm only rushing
instruments.
because there's so many fucking good stories, and I'm just.
I know.
worried.
And the mosquitoes.
But you
are
met
teaming up.
you met Noel in Blue Hill, correct?
Yeah, I went down. I happened to go down and just to say hello because we were kind of in the same area.
So
and
what
I saw he was
brought
there.
what brought Noel to Blue Hill?
Peter, Paul, and Mary had stopped touring.
Okay.
They had stopped working together. So he had bought this really nice piece of property up there, and he bought a building across the way that they rehabbed into creative space. He had an animation studio, and he had a film.
Oh, he was into all sorts of
Yeah.
stuff. Oh,
and
wow.
then he had a recording studio up top, and I mean, it was really just an arts sort of enclave. And so I went down to see him. I just said, hey, I should, check in and meet this guy. And so I walked in, and he was doing a vocal on a song called "You're the Only One." And the bed had been cut at the record plant in New York. And he's doing the vocal in the control room. He had a pretty decent little control
The
room.
bed. What is the bed?
That's the music part.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
The-
What
he's
you're
just-
singing on top of,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all done. He's singing, and they're going to mix
He's
that
singing
in.
the lead vocal on it.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'm listening to him, and he gets done with this section. He goes, he said, what do you think? I said, your third note was flat. I just never had any filter for
Just
stuff like
honest.
He's got the
Like-
same bad honesty that I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, I didn't say, I said, no, the third note was flat. He goes, really? I said, yeah, it really was. And he plays it back, and he goes, do it. So what that did was cement the fact that I never bullshitted him.
Because anyone could have come and that was perfect,
And
man.
that's the problem with people are famous. He's
You get
so
yes men.
famous you cannot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm amazed. We had planes held for us.
Yeah.
Commercial planes. They'd hold them for 15 minutes because we were stuck in traffic. You think if I called they'd do that?
No.
I don't think so. But I mean, that kind of fame gives a lot of.
No one wants to disagree. They want to be your friend, when you're famous.
What it did was start a really great friendship. We've been friends now for years. I mean,
That's
since
so crazy.
78.
40, 50 years.
Yeah, and it's still been the same thing. I'm relentlessly honest. I always tell him exactly
And he's still working
what
with
I
him.
think.
Anytime I
just
half
finished
the
an
year
album.
when I show up, he's doing a Noel's in Gorham, Maine
A lot.
all the time.
Yeah.
Wait, at your house?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, all the time. It was
As
just
are
a
other
couple months
people who
ago,
would blow.
The same studio that we recorded in.
Yeah.
Didn't you have John Lennon's producer?
Yeah, John Lennon, Eddie Motto comes in. He produced John Lennon.
Crazy shit.
I mean, really, and guy.
But that's why he's the Phantom of the Opera. in
Jim
this
Mason,
fucking-
who did Firefall.
It
and
is
all those
blowing
bands.
my mind because it's just Ian's dad. It's
Yeah,
John.
yeah.
No big deal. And by the way, most of the things I
Yeah.
made them.
So you've had obviously you've done a ton of work with Noel. That kind of got you into the work with Rick.
Right, and then so what happened is they said, "Can you do this?" I said, "Yeah." Well, Noel was starting to, the band that he had, the Bodyworks band that he was traveling with, it was starting to dial down. It was had run like 6 or 7 years. We did a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And at that point, Roy said, "Look, can you go on the road with us?" And I said, "Well, yeah,
Is the money different?
It was not different, no, because I kind of came into. I hate to say it. I mean, I just said I got to get paid.
Yeah.
And because.
And so you came in with your standard. You're like, I'm
Yeah.
getting paid this. I need this.
Oh, so yeah, right. So
yeah,
for you,
and which was fine. It actually worked out great.
Yeah.
And it was not.
And I'm
a
guessing
problem.
Rick is more regional than Bodyworks
Oh,
was.
yeah, Rick was all over the country.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Oh, no
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, I mean, mostly coastal, both
Yeah.
coasts, and in some in the southeast, not some in the Midwest, maybe up like in Minnesota or stuff like that. But there's a big middle place that it never really seemed to gather all that much steam.
Yeah.
But we traveled all over the place, and we used to make it, when I first started, it was still, because I was traveling so much with Noel, I had all these frequent flyer miles, because I try every day. I was like twice a day usually, going and coming in a plane. So you get all these frequent flyer miles built up, like in all the different airlines. So they go, okay, well, we're going to fly, Rick and Roy go, okay, this weekend we're going to go to South Carolina, and then we're going to go to Atlanta. And I'd say, cool, and so here they got the tickets and gave them to me. Well, I'd show up at the airport, pull out my frequent flyer miles, boom, and I'd get upgraded to first class.
Just for free?
For free. Didn't cost, because in those days, I don't think it's not the same now.
No.
But in those days, they gave you, they gave me all kinds, they even would give me just free passes because I flew so much.
Really?
And then so they got this, so I remember the very first gig we were flying, I don't know if we were flying to Atlanta or if we were going to South Carolina, I just don't remember which. But I remember they called for the first class boarding, and then everybody in the band sitting there. And I get up and I walk up, and they're looking at me like, and I give them the thing. They put me on. They, put me in first class. What would you like to drink? I might have had a scotch or something.
And you just wave to Rick.
And I'm just sitting there, and those guys walk in and they're like, and I'm going, hey.
So at the time, were you touring as a member of the band or on sound?
At that time, I toured with Rick as a member, doing sound.
Just doing, yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes
sound
sang.
guys in first class is funnier than a member
That's
of the
even
band.
funny. It's like the bass player being in first class.
Yeah.
But it transitioned, to me playing.
That's awesome.
And so, it was like, hey, doing sound is fine. And, I kind of set the templates up for it, so it made sense.
And I already know the answer to this, but of all the instruments in the Bubblegum Band, how many of them did you play?
I played everything except keyboards.
Okay.
So I played drums, bass, and guitar.
That's awesome. So
And I sang all this.
What is your favorite instrument to play in the Bubblegum Band? If they were like, you got to do a gig
I love
tonight.
playing bass, and I actually love playing drums with them.
Yeah.
It was a lot of, that's a real fun thing. I've always loved playing drums because it's just such a physical release. And I can sing when I play drums, which is kind of a weird.
Oh yeah.
It's an odd skill.
Not all drummers do that,
No,
for sure.
It is awkward. It's also awkward to play bass and sing. And that was when I was a kid. I was in a band, and I was the singer, and I played bass. And I learned to do it when I was a
because the
little
rhythm
kid.
is so strict, but the vocals have a little bit of play.
Breathing is really different.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of separate your head out. And so, but playing guitar is fine, but, Rick always had excellent guitar players with him. He's had, I can think of, Robbie Coughlin's a great guitar, Bob Thompson, great guitar player, Pat Kane, great guitar player. These guys are all really good at the instrument.
Yeah.
And I'm more of your basic solid rhythm player, but not, no one's going to go, holy mackerel, that was the best solo on Mud I ever heard, That's,
Were you in the Bubblegum Band like 91, 92?
Must have been.
Must have been.
Yeah,
Okay,
must have been.
so in third grade at the China Primary School, the first year it was open, I was in third grade there, which is the graduating class level. Rick Charette.
Good time for a Rick Charette story.
Yeah, Rick Charette came to my school, so you were there with them.
Yeah.
Rick Charette came, and he wrote a song in my classroom with us.
Yes.
And so we wrote a song together, and then we got up with Rick and performed that song. And I still, to this day, remember the lyrics to the song, which was, ice cream, it tastes good and melts when you eat it. Chocolate-covered ice cream tastes the best. When I can't finish it, I give my dog the rest. And we just repeat it like 3 times.
Right.
And I got to stand in the front next to Rick, because we all stand in like a grid and sung it with Rick in the front. And I was like next to Rick, and I was like so nervous. I remember leaning over and going, what's the first line? He's like, it's ice cream, it tastes good. It's like, yeah, I know it. And then we sang it out. But like, I will never forget that song because of Rick Charette, and it blows my mind because probably you were there on bass or on another instrument.
Who knows? I mean,
depending on the day.
That gets to be, I don't even know. I mean,
it's all a blur.
All over the place.
So from my perspective, my favorite part, again, I really believe that I am an entertainer because of watching my dad.
Yeah.
Half of that is because being backstage in a classroom at like a pack, and they've got like the cold cut assemblance. There's something about that. There's like a soda. You just like get a soda and like a little shitty fucking, cold cut sandwich, and like people would come in and pretend like everyone else is a rock star. But there's something about being backstage and being part of like the hubbub, but also like you get to chill. That is intoxicating. It's actually one of my favorite things about being. I like going on stage, but the green room fucking rules.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Bubblegum Green Room
I like the
lit.
green room,
Yeah.
and it came from going to and we got to see, we went to see Setup, we saw the show, we saw Teardown, but my favorite was like hanging out in the green room. Everyone's getting their show clothes on, we're eating fucking shitty deli sandwiches. It's just awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
So
and we are actually
yes, this
the
is a good
Bubblegum
announcement.
Band.
So Rick recently retired.
Rick retired, and the Bubblegum Band, after we had the COVID thing going on for a while, the Bubblegum Band was like, you know what? These songs are way too good to let them just go away into the wind, which things tend to do.
Sure.
Because he wrote these they're great songs. And so generational, like 40 years of this music. We've had generations show up.
Yeah,
so
of course.
the parents have been, and even some grandparents have been there to shows. It's pretty weird. And
I took my son to his last show at St. Joe's, and it was my son, me, mom. You know what I mean? 3 generations right there of Rick Charette.
Yeah, and so we got together this spring to just touch base. So we hadn't seen each other really because of COVID.
Yeah.
And so we went and had a beer over at Allagash, and we were sitting there, and I just said to Rick, would you mind if we kept this thing going? If we, had the Bubblegum Band do the songs of Rick Charette, because I think they're too good to just sit. And he said, that'd be great. And so we're going to do that. There even the possible thing is, if Rick's feeling he's I don't want to get into it, but he's got an illness that's a little hard on him. So sometimes he's not really up for the energy for that.
Right.
But if he is, he would come out and do a
Yeah, absolutely.
guest spot,
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
And that would be like
You'd have the platform there for him.
You get a little icing on the cake there.
It would be total icing on the cake, because it's the Bubblegum Band doing its thing. Yeah. And
he's taking a long time to say it, but he is going to be singing. You will
I will sing.
You will be stepping in.
Yeah.
Now, will you be singing and playing guitar because you've
we haven't really worked that out. When I could, and I probably will on some stuff.
Yeah.
But I think on some of it I will just actually.
Because I know you. The other thing too, you fronted a band called Dirty Laundry that was very popular. It's one of those things that people will bring up to me occasionally, is the Dirty Laundry thing, and you were a guitar player and singer. It was the dual thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like anytime I do see you live, it's you and a guitar. So I was curious, like, do you feel naked just doing vocals up there?
No, not particularly. I mean, I'm a little more used to having a guitar, and sometimes you could have a guitar and not really do much with it. Yeah. You might play some minor little things.
So you understand all of those songs from every instrument, basically.
Yeah,
right?
except the keyboard. God help us if I had to play the keyboard.
And they've got a guy on keyboard. So like, how how many of the instruments could you sing the songs and play?
All of them.
All of them.
And I can, on any of the songs, I can play and sing.
That would be so great for the kids to see.
Yeah, it might be a little confusing for my head, but
No,
yes.
I mean, like, just if imagine if like the guy singing rotated around, you'd be dumbstruck.
Paul can't get over his Eve 6
I saw
concert
Eve 6
going,
in concert.
and he's brought us
In
up in like multiple.
2004.
I think every podcast Paul has brought up.
And
an
listen,
Eve
6, they
situation.
rotated instruments. The singer was playing drums. I didn't know we could do that. And I was like, oh my God. That blew my mind. I just think it'd be kind of crazy if the front man, the singer of Bubblegum Band, just kind of like went through, and for all the kids, you know, who play other instruments, they'd be like, oh my gosh.
I mean, that would be. I could do it as long as it didn't involve keyboards.
So we've talked a lot about you as a musician, you as a producer. There are two things I want to talk about: is your time with Mike Judge from Beavis and Butthead,
Oh, man.
and your time with at the time the president George Bush.
H.W. Bush.
So that's the thing. So you've done a lot of things as a musician. You've had your own bands. You've obviously toured as a professional musician. But you've also, as a producer, you're also renowned in that. Can we talk about? So in my office, I still have the piece of paper that you had Mike sign for me.
Yes.
So I still have that. Mike Judge literally. So he was working in your studio.
Well, what happened was, this was like the Beavis and Butthead was out, and it was phenomenally popular. But they got in trouble somehow. It wasn't their fault, but there was this. They used to do this fire
Yeah.
thing. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's Beavis and Butthead. And so the record company said, you got to take that off there, because some kid lit a fire because he'd listened to that, and I don't, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's back when they
Right.
blamed all the kids' actions on the things they saw.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
that's right. Okay.
So they said, you got to replace that. Well, the album was all done, right? Except this part had to be gone. So they booked the studio and me in it to record Mike Judge, just to do a separate thing, you know, a new piece.
Right.
So instead of fire, he said something different.
He did something entirely different. What he did was he called up Anthony Curtis and Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
So you worked with those guys too.
Yeah, they were on phone, so it was working with them was kind of a
I mean,
stretch,
still
you know, but
though,
still.
that's
Yeah.
pretty dope.
And
So they're
but
on
we definitely
phone,
talked
and then
to him.
Mike's in studio with you.
Yes, and so and the thing that you have, Mike Judge is a smart guy. He has an electrical engineering degree. He's really smart.
I'm a huge fan.
And
The Nut Tap from Welcome to Maine is a direct ripoff from Idiocracy.
okay, so there
Yeah,
you go.
100%.
So he would go in and he faced into the corner and he would flip between the two guys' voices real time. Like he did Beavis and Butthead real time.
Back and forth.
And it was I mean, it was so funny. I was getting paid good money, and I'm laughing my
watch him live.
nads off,
Yeah.
just doing these riffs, you know.
Yeah.
And he's just riffing on this and that and the other thing. So finally, they get Flea and Curtis, you know, in on the phone system so that they can do. And Flea's got a bass, and I don't know what Anthony Curtis was doing. He was just.
And are they recording locally? Is
They're-
that what's
all
up?
this stuff's getting fed down the line to me,
Oh wow!
right?
Through the phone?
Yeah, through the phone lines. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. It wasn't exactly hi-fi at that point, either, I'll tell you. But the thing was, what it was, it was good, you know, good enough. It was just, you know, it could be fixed.
Yeah.
And so they're doing this whole riff about music, and what's his name? Mike Judge is a bass player, a good bass player. He's played a bunch of like blues bands in Texas. He was really a pretty talented player.
Wow.
So he didn't have a bass, but then they started getting off this riff, and they were doing Iron Man by, you know, Sabbath
Yeah.
on the phone, and they're, you know, just singing down, 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 in the Beavis and Butthead thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I had tears coming out of I was just crying. I was
Yeah.
laughing
Oh,
so hard, and it was like 4 hours long. And they're just riffing and riffing in this. They kept going into different things and to try to find the right thing.
Yeah.
And so we just recorded the whole thing. I just kept it going. I ran the whole, recorded every single moment of it. And we finally, boom, we're done. We got whatever he needs, and he's going to edit. And actually, with Bob Ludwig, was mastering the album.
Yeah.
And so that had to go over to Bob. But
And Bob is, I mean, literally, he
He's-
does
he's-
everything.
yeah,
Tool,
he's like-
fucking,
yeah,
I mean,
he's-
literally everyone.
yeah, Bob does everything.
Eric Clapton, all the
yeah,
shit.
Yeah, your minds would be blown to know who walks the streets of Portland.
Yeah.
You know, people go into Bob's place
Yeah.
and they're walking around town, and you have no idea. You just walk
Yeah.
by Eric Clapton. You just walk by Sting. You just walk by whoever.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Man.
know, they go in there, and you know, Portland people aren't like looking for that,
Yeah.
so they don't really think about it. And most people, unless they had the name above them, like, "Ooh, this is Sting,"
Yeah.
you wouldn't really think about it. It's just some guy. you know?
One time I thought I saw Dave Grohl like waiting for us with us
Probably.
Oh,
on
you very could
on the
have.
Peaks Island ferry. I was convinced. I was like, that is Dave Grohl, and I literally was like Googling Dave Grohl's arm tattoos to confirm.
Right.
And it wasn't Dave
Oh,
Grohl.
okay, just
went
And
out.
this guy must know. He looks just like him.
Yeah, yeah.
And like
Yeah.
he's like out in public waiting for someone to go, "Are you Dave?" And I bet
Yeah.
he says yes every time.
Well, see, the thing that was really cool about it was there was always magazines and newspapers and stuff, you know, in the waiting area of the studio, and Mike Judge was
And
on
it
the
was
front.
so I remember the studio. It was like a classic recording studio. Like there was a front desk, and it was black glass and black leather, and it was very recording studio.
And then there was a room to the right with one studio. There's
Yeah.
a room right straight ahead. There was a studio. There's one down the corner, and there was a technical area. And then the big studio was to the left.
And one of the people you were working with, now working at Halo, was what's his name?
Oh, John?
Yeah, John. What's his last
You
name?
had to ask me that, didn't you?
Yeah, I can't remember. You know, he records Spose. He,
Yeah,
yelled, he
anyways.
yelled at me about not having coffee. It
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
thing.
I know. I can't think. It's not that I'm embarrassed. Wyman.
Yep, John. Yeah.
Yeah, John Wyman. Anyways, but John actually, he wasn't there. I
Oh,
think he
no?
might have come in and out of there, but
Oh, okay.
he wasn't really there when I was there. Maybe he was there after us for a while. But so anyways, the magazine, the Rolling Stone magazine was there, and Mike Judge was on the cover. And I asked Mike Judge, I said, look, would you sign this for my son? Because he loves Beavis and Butthead. And he's right at that right age. He goes, yeah. And so he found the right sheet of it so it would
Just
look.
a cartoon of Beavis and Butthead.
Right.
And then he put, like, you know,
Ian Don't Burn Things.
Ian Don't Burn Things. He. Signed Mike Judge. So it was a personalized.
that's what's on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was.
that's
I mean,
super
that
cool.
was
That's
that was one of those things. Because I had a, and he was such a nice guy. I mean, and God, I mean, I had just laughed my guts out for 4 hours with the guy, and he was just a sweet, nice guy.
Yeah.
There's the other side of that. When I was backstage at
Oh, Not Sweet Guys? You're talking about Not Sweet Guys
Not Sweet
now?
Guys. So I'm
Like the worst guys?
what's the big band from?
It's a Pearl Jam, right?
Pearl Jam. Okay, so one of Pearl Jam's buddies is
Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman.
I know the story. That's
okay.
why.
So Dennis Rodman, you know, and I don't know much about sports. You know, I know that you're basic, but who the fuck doesn't know who Dennis Rodman is?
Right.
Right? He's got weird looking hair and he wears dresses.
He's bigger than the NBA.
Yeah,
for
he was,
sure.
and he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
considered one of the best players ever.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
he still is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rebounds alone.
Yeah, he still is.
Just brilliant player. And I remember he's backstage, and we're all kind of sitting back there because we've done all this setup for the band and stuff, and he's coming down thinking, shit, maybe I can get this guy to give me an autograph for Ian. You know, that'd be like
Because
awesome.
so the story is he's backstage with Pearl Jam. You're doing sound
Yeah.
at a Pearl Jam show.
Yeah.
And you're just backstage kind of mulling around.
because once everything's all set, you kind of
Yeah,
you got
because
time.
your third grade was Jordan, Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. Weren't they like that? Was the Bulls like?
Yeah, 100%.
Back then, right?
So he was, and this is heyday.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the
it's
best of the
heyday.
Bulls.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, shit, man, I'm
Let's dance around
gonna
the
see if
heyday.
he'll give me, because most of the people I've met, in the business or out of the business are really nice people. I mean, really are. Some of them you kind of go, this is weird, but so I thought, well, maybe I can, get anything, just a little scribble or something.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome, to give to Ian. And well, there's this other guy over here that was like, roadie guy pushing things around. And he looks at me, he goes, shit, man, that's Dennis Rodman. I love that guy. He's my favorite player ever. He was like vibrating. He was like so excited. And so he goes and he goes, Dennis Rodman, man, I love you. I've seen like 50 of your games. You're my favorite player. Could you sign my autograph? Rodman said, fuck you. And
Just right
walked
to his
on.
face. Oh man.
I'm thinking, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't obvious at that point. I wasn't going to step in and ask her because
Yeah.
we already got the fuck you.
Good thing that guy went first.
And I'm thinking to myself, what an asshole.
Yeah.
You know, this guy went to 50-year games. He's paying your fucking salary, man.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to sign the autograph. You could go, thanks, I appreciate it. I don't do the autograph thing. And gone. And that guy would have gone, he spoke to me.
Yeah.
You know, it would have been enough.
Yeah.
He didn't have to give him, all he had to do was acknowledge him like, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I don't do autographs or any. I appreciate that, but I gotta go. But he had to be an ass about it.
Outside of Dennis Rodman, are there any other people that you have dealt with that were difficult? They were like, oh man, I would never deal with them again.
Natalie Cole.
So who? I don't know who Natalie Cole is.
Natalie Cole is the daughter of Nat King Cole.
Oh, okay, all right.
All right. She could
Natalie Cole. That almost sounds like a bad 1960s TV disguise. Like Nat Cole, now Natalie Cole. You know? Hiding away in the pines.
I took the glasses with the nose off.
Oh, it wasn't Natalie. It was Nat.
Oh, Nat.
It was just like, look at, she is a marginally talented singer.
Okay.
She's okay, you know, nothing to write home about in my book, but then again, I'm kind of a, snob about that stuff. But her dad was fabulous. He was a great singer, and he had iconic songs.
Yeah.
Her big hit was her redoing Unforgettable on his old track and adding her voice into it.
Yeah,
The guys just sliced and diced it and did it, and so she's on there with him. Okay, hon, I got no argument with that. That's good. And, she did it with aplomb. And
it's like if your dad owns the local
So
factory.
what about her
and
was
you become
difficult?
the factory.
what was difficult?
Yeah. So what did you do on her show? Were you doing sound?
I was a
again?
sound guy.
So you were doing, and that's the.
And
I
I was
remember as a kid being in high school.
I
not
was
in high
one of
school.
several sound guys. They were.
Yeah.
But
But you were brought in. Like I remember you doing shows from like the first Korn show ever. You were the sound guy here in Maine. A bunch of I remember the Pearl Jam shows. I remember because you would bring home. The T-shirts, the swag.
Yeah, well, they gave those to everybody.
But that's the thing is I remember the shows you were going to. You were doing live sound for all of a bunch of my favorite bands when I was way too young to go to concerts.
Yeah. Well, so this is what I remember, and this is really she. For someone who should be grateful to be in her position.
Yeah.
Right. Her dad made him because it was great.
She's in a very thanks dad position.
Yeah.
And so. You know what? Be grateful. Be grateful. Because you're in a position that most people never are. You're able to ride a train that no one can even get a step on. First of all, they had the promoters build a special tunnel to get into and it was in the State Theater, to get into the State Theater so the bus could pull up on the wrong side of the road so she could get out of the bus, go through the tunnel without seeing anything.
Even the backstage of the State is so easy. It's right there. You literally just pull into the back.
Well, and the thing is,
bam.
she's staying over in the Eastland.
Yeah, I know exactly. Right across the street.
It's right across the street.
So it's easier to walk across the street. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Like anybody
Yeah,
would have fucking known.
Yeah.
One time, it's so easy to get back there. One time we smoked weed with Action Bronson back there. It's 5 feet from the road.
I remember when I did my first ever set at the State Theater. So I've opened up for Attell, I've opened up for Demetri Martin, but my first thing I ever did was this burn unit charity thing, and you were there with me to film. And I remember, so the deal was, I thought I was going to, I was supposed to be the third act, a couple bands, and then I go on. I hosted an event the day prior, and they loved my hosting of me just roasting people. We were like, yo, we liked it so much. When we open the doors, you're going to be the act on stage. And I was like, that's probably a bad idea. So the doors opened, I went on stage, and I did my set to a auditorium that was filling up, which is fucking horrifying as a comedian.
Yeah, the State Theater, even partially empty when you're on stage, is a weird thing.
It was
And
bad.
then imagine having to ironically roast people at a burn victim benefit.
Yeah.
That has its
is
own
some
rough
rough
dude.
stuff.
I remember filming it, just going like, "Man, this won't come out good, but I'm gonna keep it steady."
Yeah.
Good
Jesus
lucky. And
Christ, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So, anyways, it was all this like, how highfalutin do you think you are?
Yeah.
You know, you got to have your bus driver, drive his bus around, and
So she didn't do anything to you personally?
no, the only thing that the thing that cemented it. This is what cemented it. Okay,
Yeah.
so then there's a production meeting,
Okay.
and her people are there.
Yes.
Her people, and there's a shitload of them.
A bunch of
right?
them.
Right? And he said, "There shall be no eye contact with Miss Cole."
Oh, that's crazy.
I'm looking at him going, "What?" There will be no eye contact with Miss Cole, and if there is, you will be immediately escorted from the building. I was like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah,
That's so crazy.
You know, really? No eye? What do you think I'm going to do? Give you the Martian slut ray look?
I don't even know what that is.
Fuck.
But
Yeah,
I don't think they were expecting it.
Yeah, I'm not
right?
gonna lie. I feel like that sounds like a song title from Muse. Martian slut ray look.
It's like an episode of Star Trek I never saw. Like,
So, anyways, last time I was like, you have got to be kidding me, man. You're not that much. You're not all that in a bag of chips,
man.
I'll tell you that. And so, but I will tell you, the majority of people are really nice, even people you don't expect or know.
yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
I've
So you've
hung-
been in the business for 50 years.
Yeah, and I've hung with a lot of
generally,
people from
and that's
really cool
I would
bands.
argue the same thing. Generally, when people ask about comedians, some of them are fucking weird, like weirdos, but they're all, for the most part, very nice.
Yeah.
Because to get to that position, having gratitude is one of the qualities you need to climb that
Yeah.
ladder. Being
It's hard to be shitty and successful
No, yeah.
and work your way up to get
No,
there
yeah,
at
yeah.
the same time. Yeah.
But the
All right, so only because I want this story so bad on this podcast. You've worked with a ton of musicians, but you've
Yeah.
also worked with presidents.
yeah, I've done film. I've done sound for film and video. There's it's not, because you can do these things, you get called for stuff, and the more cachet you have, they think you must be better at it, even if
Yeah.
you're not as experienced as the guy next to you. So I got a call to do a PSA.
Have you heard this story, by the way?
No.
Public service
fuck
announcement.
yes, my favorite
with,
story.
George H.W. Bush.
Okay.
While he's
first
president, right?
And so I go down to Kennebunk. I drive down to Kennebunk. And the producer's going to be flying from New York up to Kennebunk.
Okay.
Right? Okay.
In a helicopter.
No, I don't know what the fuck he came in, but he was late. And so I get down there, and the Secret Service guys are just, they got enough hardware around to, arm a small fucking army. And they're nice guys, they're talking about, hey, sometimes we go out on these, cruises, and it's like we're out there for 10 days. It's like awesome, and, they're
So you're hanging out with the Secret Service?
secret. And I, at the
Jack dudes
time,
with guns, talking about going on vacation?
my head was shaved at the time. And so I had a little more of it.
And so also,
Look.
this is while he's president, so what, like 92?
Yeah, it would have been about that. He was just coming off of being.
So he'd
president.
already
Okay.
thrown up on the guy from
Yeah, he'd
Japan.
already thrown off the Japanese.
okay.
Emperor. And but I mean, he was no, that was the other Bush. That was young Bush,
No.
wasn't it?
No,
It was,
that's
No,
old
no,
Bush.
no, no.
it was
That's old Bush.
That's
old
old
Bush.
Bush, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was young
Old
Bush.
Bush
No, no.
had too much broccoli and
Let him have it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I didn't know that part of it. So, anyways, I'm in there, and finally, and there's a whole pile of people. I mean, they've got huge staffs.
Yeah.
There's just people. I don't know what they'll do. They just staff, and then the secretaries, like a bunch of them. And I got my stuff set up. It's a simple setup. He's just doing a PSA about like the 4th of July. Or something. And what are you going? He's going to do 30 seconds
about
of
the 4th of
God bless America. The flag is great. Blah blah blah.
this is the 4th.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. So you're doing a recording for what, like a public?
It's like a public announcement. It's
Yeah.
going to go on TV, and they're going to show the waving flag slowly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And whatever. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. That's not my job. I don't know what they did with some of that porn shit I recorded. So.
I don't know. We might cut those. After the Rick Charette announcement, we might cut that one out.
There might be other parts of my childhood he's also a part of. I don't know.
So he finally comes in. He's a tall guy. He's like 6'4".
Wow, really?
He's a tall
Big
guy. Big dude. And I'm a little over 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2", but he definitely was taller than I am. But I looked like a biker.
Yeah.
But I had a white shirt on. So I looked like a nice biker.
Yeah. Like a biker at court.
Yeah, kind of like a biker at court.
A biker
Except
taking
I think my
plea
shirt
deals.
was even tucked in.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. I'll tell you that story some other day. So he comes in, and he goes, "Hey, how you doing?" I introduced myself, and he introduced. So he's going, "What's happened?" I said, "I guess we're just waiting for this producer guy to show up to do the spot." And he goes, "Okay." And so I give him the stuff, and he reads it. Hey, all the politicians that I've ever met who are worth anything are really good readers.
Yeah.
In terms of, you give them 29 seconds of copy, they do it in 29 seconds.
Yeah.
They know, because they've done this stuff. They're pro. They're VO guys. And so he looks at it and goes, "Yeah, this is pretty easy, cool." And so we're sitting there and we're talking about our kids and fishing. I like deep sea fishing. He liked deep sea fishing. I didn't get an invite on his boat, as it turns out. But,
Yeah. Well, Putin did.
yeah. So, and we talked about anything, not politics, because I was like weird, like opposite ends of the spectrum for the most part. I mean, nowadays we'd probably be considered kind of both on the wrong side of the spectrum.
Right.
I'm way liberal. He's way considered liberal now, I'm sure. It's like, I don't know why, but so we're talking about this shit, and he goes, "Okay, so can we?" He's just getting fed up, He's used to having people get shit done for him.
Yeah, it's ready to go.
It's supposed to happen. It's ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm all set. I got the everything. I'm ready to go anytime. And he goes, "Can we just do this?" I said, "You're the president, and I'm not."
Yes,
So,
sir.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
We can. And he goes, "Okay, let's do it. I don't, that guy can show up, and I'll do it in the time. You got the stopwatch. Let me know some time." He was great at it. And meanwhile, the phones are just ringing off the hook. Well, duh. What do you expect? You're in an office of like one of the guys who runs the planet,
Yeah.
right? And so they're just ringing and ringing. He goes, "Hey, somebody shut the phones off. We're going to just do this, and everybody be quiet." So they're all fucking around, and and they're pushing buttons everywhere, and it's just not going anywhere. And you can see him just kind of going, "Ooh, boy, oh boy." And I'm not saying anything. Not my job. I got my phones on.
Yep. You're not the phone guy.
I'm not the phone guy. I'm just sitting there. And he goes, "Come on, let's get these things. Come on, get them off. And no, they don't seem to be able to shut him off. And he stands up. I can't stand up, right? Because it just.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I'll stay.
Imagine he's standing.
Imagine I'm standing up and I'm walking. He's walking around the room, and he goes over to the phones, and he kind of does this thing where he looks at the phone line, he looks where it's coming out, and he follows it over here into the corner, looks over here, looks at another one, looks at that. They kind of come to place, and he looks over and he reaches down and he goes, BAM! And he just pulls the phone lines out of the wall with a bunch of bare wires sticking up in his hand like a bunch of posies, right? And he goes, "That's why I'm president." and he laughed. And I went,
Yeah, because he doesn't have to fix it.
yeah. And I just went, "You know what, buddy? That is exactly why."
Tell me that's not the greatest fucking story, dude. So good.
He was and we took he actually ascended to have a picture taken. I got a picture with him, and we weren't on the same political side at all, but
Right.
he was a really smart, really intelligent. I mean, we talked
yeah.
about a bunch of things in the hour or so that.
So
we
you can
actually talked,
honestly
so.
say that you enjoyed your time with.
I very much enjoyed my time. It's like Bill Cohen. Bill Cohen, a Republican guy, man. He is funny as all get out.
Oh, you did more. You did. Time
I did
with,
stuff with Bill Cohen.
Yeah.
He had a great one. We were up at Bath Iron Works. All the big politicians want to go to Bath Iron Works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when they do their change in the afternoon, it's like 6,000 or 7,000 people in 5 minutes go
Yeah.
like this, a huge sea of people, right? So we're up there with a whole crew, and I got him wired up with wireless stuff, and I'm standing on top of the truck. I can't get anything but ambient sound from that, but he's wearing a wire, wireless,
Like a lavalier.
Yeah, wireless.
Yeah.
And we'd been hanging around. One of the jobs of the sound guy is to kind of schmooze the talent, kind of keep them, loose, talk to them, joke around, treat it, because I never really gave a shit who they were. I
Yeah,
just thought
right.
if they're funny, nice guys, I'm all up for it. And so he's down there, and all of a sudden it's going to happen. He's wearing his bomber jacket, looking, more.
America.
Yeah,
Fuck
yeah. But he was never one of those jingoistic guys.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy. So, you got the guy who comes up and he goes, "Well, my mother's comp payment didn't show up on time this week. What can you do about that?" Questions that you're thinking.
Oh yeah.
This guy's a senator.
That's customer support on a different level.
Yeah.
But
Are you HR? Yeah. I'm a
he
senator.
goes, but kudos to all those guys. They'll always go, "You call my office and you let them know, and we'll get it done." And they do. I mean, if you had that kind of thing, you would call that office and said, "I talked to the senator,"
Oh, man.
and he said, "Do it," and they would ram that shit as hard as they could.
Yeah.
I mean, they work hard. Their teams really know what they're doing in the background, and so he's standing there, and inevitably, some guy in the background, some sneery ass looking shit, goes, "Congress sucks," and he kind of looked around and he goes, and then he looked up and he caught my eye. He looked at me and he goes, "I agree."
Holy fuck. That might be the time to end it, dude.
Can I add a tidbit to Senator Cohen?
Yeah, please.
I dated a girl in Bangor, and one day, all of a sudden, a copy of Senator Cohen's book from the Pentagon arrives at her apartment in Bangor, and we're like, "What the?" And it's addressed to somebody else. So I was like, "Whatever. I'll just take this. I'll bring it back to work." I called the Pentagon from work, and I was like, "Hey, this came to the wrong place. I'm going to send it back to you." And they're like, "Great." And then the Pentagon sent me a signed copy of Cohen's book,
Wow.
Dragonfire, and
Yep.
I still have it signed by Senator Cohen. And it's like, "Hey, Paul, thanks for helping me out." It was sent to one of his family members who lived up in that area, who didn't live at that apartment anymore.
Wow.
And I still haven't read the book or anything, but
Yeah, no,
it's a trophy on the case, really.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But I really think that we are going to have to do a part 2, obviously.
We're gonna have to do a part 2.
Holy
There's too
shit,
much.
it's
There's too much to unpack here.
Too much. So we'll definitely do a part 2, maybe during the daytime.
Yeah. Do you want to give it back to the sponsors? Let us know who brought it.
Golden Watt Cognac, Lit Local Farms in Bangor, and the Tyler Healy Band with their song, your favorite song. Go buy a t-shirt on the TylerHealyBand.com. Check out Golden Watt at goldenwatt.com. Check out Lit Local Farms at Lit Local on Instagram, and I think it's Lit Local Pharmacy. Check them all out.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's been the end of that's the Served Up podcast. Welcome
This will be
to the
part
end of it.
1. This will be
This
part
is
1.
part 1 of
We're
the
off
interview with John Stewart, Ian Stewart's father, also, Mac from Welcome to Maine. That's it. All right. Good night. Later.
Peace.